House of Cards.
TCG.
Give me a 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
What's up, guys? Shane here, House of Cards TCG. I just competed in the YCS. Didn't do so hot. Dropped out of it. Instead, I went to do a side event regional. Tried to do the giant card. It was we were waiting in line for an hour, and then it was completely sold out. Total bust. But the deck I brought, I made some changes after the main event. I was main decking Crow. It was a very bad choice. Despia as a whole was not a bad choice. It's a really strong deck. A lot of fun to play. Fusion summoning is best extra deck mechanic, obviously. But main deck Crow was not good. I pulled the droplets for it, which is awful, terrible decision. And I made some changes when the side event regional got top 4, and I wanted to show you guys the deck. It's a lot different than a lot of the Despia decks I've seen because I cut it down to 40. I was bricking a lot on the Frightfur engine, just drawing unplayable. I've seen a lot of other people doing it too. They would just set a couple back row, might be a droplets, a dead Brandon red, and then they would pass. So I made some changes, got it down to 40, didn't brick on it. I really like the build, very consistent. Yeah, I wanted to show it off. So, let's see. How's that look?
Good.
Okay, mandatory 3 of Aluber, nothing different here. 3 Fallen of Albaz. You want 3 because in the mirror, you can just normal summon it and it's just broken. You fuse away their board. Also, having 3 is important because if you draw a poly, you can literally just fuse from hand and go into full combo if they stop your branded fusion. So you want ways to play. Everyone knows to Ash the branded fusion. Everyone's always, if they have Ash, they're going to use it on branded fusion. They're not going to hit a Luber. They're not going to waste it otherwise. So you need ways to play around Ash. You don't want to have an Ash FTK against you. Like a deck that loses to 1 hand trap and you pass it's just not a good deck. So you need alternative play lines. 3 Tragedy. Basically same concept. If I can just hard poly with Tragedy, I can search in a Luber search, a different Brandon Red, different plays with that because I'll have the Tragedy in graveyard. Most of the time, you always want to search Adlib if you've already used your Aluber, because Adlib is just insane. It gives you so many interruptions on your opponent's turn.
Bro, Adlib is broken.
Yeah, Adlib's insane. You
that's what
Mirror Jade
makes
and then
Despia.
you Adlib, you bring it back, have another non-targeting banish. It's just too much.
Adlib's
it's just
insane.
Too much. Also, 3 Tragedy is really important with Allure of Darkness. Allure and Tragedy in the same hand it just feels so good. Because you banish Tragedy off Allure, you get the effect. So you can search, Aluber, you can search Adlib, whatever you need. 3 Opening, this one is obvious. Opening's broken. You can use it in draw phase. You always want to use it in draw phase if you open with it, unless your hand is just like horrible. But you want to use this in draw phase. It plays around Veiler. It plays around Droll. So a lot of people are playing Droll now.
A lot of main deck Droll too.
Yeah, there's a lot of Droll everywhere. So you always want to play around that card when you can. And the reason is because Veiler has to be in main phase and Droll can't be in draw phase. So don't wait to standby. I've seen some people doing standby. I have no idea why. Draw phase always. And the effect in the graveyard is actually broken too. A lot of people forgot about it. Especially in the mirror, they would destroy. I would destroy their Mirror Jade, and they would activate the effect, and I would have this engraved. So I would just banish this instead of wiping my board, and then they would just scoop because I have too much advantage at that point. Next card, Branded Fusion. We were never playing less than 3. Best combo in the deck. Normal summon Aluber. You search Branded Fusion. 1 card combo. Insane.
Have you thought about cutting that to 1?
I'm testing a new build without Branded Fusion. No, I'm just kidding.
You don't want to draw into this.
You want to see Branded Fusion as much as possible. Mandatory 3 of. We're playing 1 Albion. I know a lot of people were playing more than 1. It's a consistency card. Basically what it does is you reveal it and then you send a Fallen of Albaz or a branded spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard, and then it turns into Upstart Goblin. So you draw 1, you put this on the bottom. So what you want to do is you almost always want to send the opening to get that protection. But if you have a way to play Brandon in red, what you do is you send Fallen of Albaz, because now that turns on your Brandon in red. So if they stop the branded fusion or your poly or whatever, you have a new play line. You can brand it in red, add it back, and then you can fuse with it. So I like that one. I'm playing one ad-lib. Ad-lib is the most broken card in the deck. It's so crazy to use your Mare Jade. You get a non-targeting banish, and then you ad-lib, you fuse with it, and then brand it in red, and then you bring back the Mare Jade. It's just crazy.
Ad-lib is too much in Despia. Like that card is honestly, that card's bannable. Like 100%.
Ad-lib is so good.
It is insane.
Yeah.
Like that's when I see them search ad-lib, I just know like it's almost GG's. It's so hard to beat.
Yeah, ad-lib's insane.
It's really hard to play big two.
Yeah.
Plus Chimera pops.
Yeah, exactly.
Double non-targeting banish is pretty good.
And defense plus inhibitor.
We're playing one Mercourier. A lot of people are playing 2 or 3. I didn't like it at 2 or 3 because I was bricking on the card. It's only really good when you open it with Allure of Darkness, and that's a 3 of. So like you're not always gonna open it. It's kind of a brick in hand otherwise. It's a monster negate. It doesn't destroy. It's a monster negate if you have a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Alvaz as material. And it's searchable off Branded Lost. So a lot of times you're searching it off Branded Lost. Just have a monster negate. But I didn't love it. I didn't play more than one. It was okay. Springen's Kit, it's just a worse version of a Luber, but you can special it out if you control a monster that lists Fallen of Alvaz as material. So it's a way that you can search your Brandon in red, rather than having to use your Mirror Jade Banish on turn 1 to send the Albion into the grave. So I liked it at 1. I sided out. I sided out Mercourier a lot as well. It's okay. Branded Lost, this card's broken. If you have Branded Fusion and you have a Luber or a way to a Luber, I prioritize Branded Lost.
I liked your side out pattern where you would just take the Branded Lost, the Kit, the Mercourier, and the Albion.
They're easy side outs because going
easy,
second,
it's an easy 4 card.
I don't want to
second.
draw these.
Yeah.
I want to draw power cards going second.
Yeah.
So Branded Lost is insane because it's Meltdown. Your opponents basically can't respond. They can't negate the activation of your fusion summons. They also can't respond. So immediately on summon, if you activate effect, they can't respond in the whole chain. And I had some people confused about that. If your fusion is chain link 1, they can't respond at all within the chain, even if the fusion isn't chain link. Even if the fusion monster isn't chain link 1. But so they can't respond to anything in the chain. So next we had 2 Brandon in red. I like this card a lot. It's a brick though, unless you have a target engrave. It's just a dead card unless you have a target engrave. So I didn't want to see it at 3. I liked it at 2. It's searchable. It's a good card to open sometimes. It's not horrible to open, but I liked it at 2. It's a good 2 of. Now for the Patchwork engine, I'm playing 2 of each. So 2 Patchwork. Patchwork is good, but it plays into draw heavy. That's why I like it at 2. Chain is awesome to open with Branded Opening. It's even good as a discard off Lubellion because even if you get rid of this as cost, you still get the effect. It doesn't have to be sent by card effect. It's just when it goes from hand or field to the graveyard. So you get this anyway and gain advantage that way. And then I did 2 Poly. You want to see Poly. Like Poly is good to hard draw because you can Poly with your Chain, with your Tragedy, and go Fallen of Alvaz and go into plays that way as a backup option if they Ash or stop the Branded Fusion somehow.
Would you bump Chain to 3?
I wanted to be at 40. I had it at Patchwork at 3 because I wasn't expecting a lot of main deck draw, and Patchwork is just good at gaining advantage. But I would consider Chain to 3 because it's so broken to open with Branded Opening.
It's a monster. Like you need that dark monster.
Yeah, it's a dark monster that does come up a lot, and it comes up because of Allure of Darkness. That would help that a little bit. This card's broken. It's not once per turn, so if you open all 3, you can resolve all 3. Card's insane. You can draw into more Allure of Darknesses and you're plussing off of your banishes with Mercourier and Tragedy. So plussing off the banish and drawing 2 is nuts. It's an insane card advantage that you're getting off that. When I resolve this, it just feels so good. You're just way ahead. I'm playing Fairy Tale Snow. Some broken 1-ups here. Snow is insane. It won me the one of the games in top 4. I lost the match, but Snow is just insane having that extra interruption in your graveyard. It's insane versus synchro decks. It's not so good versus fusion decks. Good versus link decks. I like Snow a lot. you can side it out. I mean, it's your only light target, so it cuts off your Albion. So I didn't really side it out. It's just you don't want to really draw it. Terrible to draw.
It's pretty good against my deck. Book my vanilla.
Yeah, if you book the vanilla, like it has applications versus a lot of decks. Duster, broken one of. This card came in clutch. I went full combo. My opponent did Terraforming into Mystic Mine, and then he just passed on Mystic Mine. And I had opened the Duster. So having a one of, when you have so much draw power, like you're gonna see it like sometimes. So
that card's not bad in the mirror.
it's very good in the mirror. Yeah, to get rid of their Brandon in red. In the mirror, you're afraid of Brandon in red. The other cards don't matter as much. So Duster, I Dustered is mine, and I OTK'd easily. Allure of, not Allure of Nurse. Called by the Grave, mandatory. Card should be banned. This card is nuts. It's insane in the mirror. It's insane in every deck. Like
Despia, I kept it. I main it, and going second against Despia, I still kept it in.
You keep it in because you hit the Brandon in red target.
Yeah, like you have to. It's insane.
Brandon red
or
target.
even Snow, like
Snow. Yeah. Going second cards. Not many in the deck. The deck is already really strong going second. Playing 3 Nib. Probably going to think about Droll. Nib's good. I like Nib a lot. Tyler hates it. He was ragging on it.
The reason why is because everybody's playing Adventure Theory on it. It's just you never resolve it.
The reason I like Nib, though, this deck specifically struggles against Sword Soul. And I want a card that just blows them out. Like, Droll can be okay versus Sword Soul, like certain lines that they play. You can stop them. They still set up their board, and their board is just tough for me to deal with. So I just want to nib them. They're getting really greedy game 1. They're going into the Sinister Sovereign, and then they're doing the draw 2 combo. So if they go into that, they're...
The Sword Soul combo now is insane. Like, they could go Desires +2, then they go into...
Yeah, they can draw infinite cards.
If they have Sinister up, or and they go to the Cheng Ying, right? Not Cheng Ying.
They go Sinister Sovereign, and then they go Xishao.
Xishao.
And then they get the Mo Yu draw. So it's
they
like...
grab a Sword Soul card, draw a Mo Yu, draw in Sinister.
Draw 2.
Like, it's crazy.
It's nuts.
Crazy.
But if they do that line, they're completely open to nib. Like, they have no monster negate. So if you nib them end of main, you just hold it to end of main. Whatever they're going to do, they do.
I don't even think that Sword Soul players make Baron anymore.
No, Baron's like a going second card. Like Baron is... It used to be like the main line, Baron. When Baron came out, everyone's like, this card's broken. And it is. Yeah, Baron's good.
Sinister's insane, though.
But nib just crushes them. And there's a lot of Sword Soul. It's a great deck. 3 Droplet. Card's just broken. Like I said, in the main event, I was playing 3 Crow, and Crow was just a bad choice. Like, Droplet has to be the card that you play. There's so many insane, like, combo decks floating around now, and one Droll, like, what was one Droll gonna do you against, like, Therion Punk or ABC Punk or, like,
Crow.
The Sun Avalon. Yeah, one Crow.
You said Droll.
Droll. Yeah, Droll would be good.
Crow
is not good.
Droll shuts us down.
Like, Crow is insane in the mirror. My theory was I just wanted to win the mirror. And it worked in the mirror matches, but like there was very few mirror matches, so I'm not main decking Crow. Like, I'm not even siding it anymore. It is a good card. It has applications. I played a Striker round 1, and like it feels so good to Crow the Ray. That just feels good always. But I like Droplet, Nib, Droll. Like, these cards, you need these cards, and you'll see my side deck. I'll go into the side now. They're board breaker cards. You want to beat combo decks. So, broken one of Red Reboot, mandatory when you're playing Despia because you're expecting everyone to side in D-Barrier. This deck is so good, this format, like, you know D-Barrier's coming, so you have to, even if, like, it's a one of, you have to not get D-Barriered. Banshee, Search Zombie World. Flunderees, you just don't want to lose to Flunderees. It's okay versus some other decks, like Sword Soul, it cuts off Baxia. Randomly, like Sun Avalon, it is kind of good. Tyler's playing Sun Avalon. It's kind of good against them. They have to out this. Kind of good. D-Barrier, mandatory. Broken versus Sword Soul, broken in the mirror.
It's a mandatory 3 right now.
Mandatory 3 of. Yeah, that might change if like these combo decks are going off. Dark Ruler no more. Just let them set up their board. You Dark Ruler it. I was afraid of the Scythe Lock, the TG Wonder Magician, all that crap. If you just Dark Ruler them, you have priority in main phase. First thing you do, you want a Dark Ruler. Shuts off that stuff.
What's the third for plants too?
Insane versus plants, yeah.
And now this, it's not that good against plants, but anyway.
Insane versus plants.
Now we got this Therion Punk deck running around. Like
Insane versus Therion Punk, they can't get into Calamity.
Yeah, but if you don't have an answer to them at the start of main phase,
you lose.
You lose.
You lose the game.
It's
They skip your turn.
It's dumb.
3 Twin. Card is broken. Insane in the mirror, insane versus Flunderies, insane versus back row deck, Sky Striker. 3 twin is mandatory in my opinion. I like twin because destroying 2 is important. Cosmic, like banishing, that's nice, but you really, hitting 1 isn't enough. I like twin a lot, and the fact that it's a quick play just makes it insane. 3 super poly. I wanted to win the mirror. This card's good versus Theory on Punk as well. So it's just a broken card right now. Resolving super poly in the mirror is like, who can resolve this card more. So it's fun.
Would you swap the twins for evenlies?
No, I don't like evenly.
Really?
Tyler loves evenly. Actually, I had my opponent in round 2 evenly my board. Game 2, I won game 1. And then he evenly my board, and I chained Brandon in red. And I used Tragedy Engrave, ad-lib from hand. So I added it, and then I used my own Mirror Jade. Banished the 3, went into Chimera, so chain resolves, and his evenly resolved. It banished my board, whatever. I didn't care because I summoned Chimera, and then I did Chainlink 1 Tragedy, Chainlink 2 Adlib, target Mirror Jade, summon back the Mirror Jade, and then I added a Luber off of Tragedy. So I had follow up. He lost his battle phase. Like, what is he gonna do outing my board? He lost his battle phase, and I had a live Mirror Jade, and I had an Luber in hand. It's just too much advantage. If the person you're playing against knows that line, it's bad in the mirror. It's good against other decks. Like, Evenly's a good card. It's a great card, but this format, I just don't love it. I like Twin a lot. And then from there, it was a wrap. Like, he couldn't do anything without his battle phase. So yeah. I'll get into the extra deck. We show off these tokens too. This card, this is my favorite card. Little DiCaprio. Got the tokens. Got to flex a little bit sometimes. I don't even have anything that makes tokens except for this, but just had to keep them with me.
Not even playing the adventure package.
Just had to slam them down, you know. Show off my token game. Got the best playmat as well.
Just like it. There it is.
Got the spell ground.
Definitely nice.
Shane actually asked me if I wanted to play on that today
I offered it to Tyler.
because I was on day 2.
3 Albion. I like it at 3. I make this a lot. I didn't see a lot of people making this, but there's a lot of hands where you want to make this and put Snow in the grave. A lot of people just do the standard play, which is Tragedy and Fallen of Albaz as your branded fusion, but I send Snow a lot of the time and make this. You can plus off this insane, especially if you have a way to poly, because you just make this and then you can make a Lubellion as well, and then you poly this away. So you poly this away and you get the effect in the graveyard. So you don't have to like utilize your resources to get this to graveyard with like Mirror Jade or something. You just naturally end with it, which is broken. And then you get the end phase effect to set Brandon in red. Double Mirror Jade. It never came up that I needed to, but kind of better safe than sorry. Like you need this card. 1 Lubellion. Most people play 2. I cut it to 1. Most people play 2 because if it gets Veilered or something, you're stuck. You don't have any more.
Yeah, but nowadays if you get stuck, you get no TK.
Yeah, no one Veilered me. No one impermed this. No one stopped this. If you have Brandon and Lost, they can't even do that. And I always just shuffled it back, so it never came up that I needed more than 1. 1 Alba. I never resolved this. In theory, I never played any Dragon Link. In theory, this just destroys the Dragon Link deck. Any deck that makes dragons ends on dragons.
Which the Punk Therion is
Punk
making
Therion
dragons.
does that.
Yeah.
So a good one just to keep if you hard draw. Like I'm playing 3 Albaz, so good. It's good to hard draw. Playing double Masquerade. I made 2 against Flunderies. They can't play through it. They have to have a Droplet or Dark Rule or something.
Also, Alba is a special summon, so you don't have.
It's a contact fuse.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like you can literally like set Albaz and contact fuse.
Yep,
Like,
contact. It's broken.
They have like Borderland.
Yeah, it's a nice little fun out to Borderland. Fun fact: if they have Mystic Mine, they're still paying 12. Like I had a guy Mystic Mine me, and he thought he wouldn't have to pay 12, but it's not an activated effect. It's continuously applying. So he was still paying 12, and he just scooped because Flunderies can't play through this. Titaniclad, it's just a one-of. Sometimes you want to send this, and like in the mirror, you send this, and then you special summon Albaz at end phase and fuse off their board. 1 Quartus. Card is broken versus Drytron. Card is just really good randomly in general, like for OTKing, reducing their attack to 0 is nice. And if they get rid of it by card effect, you special summon a Fallen of Albaz or Despia from your deck, which is broken. So this is insane versus Drytron, and there's a decent amount of Drytron players now with Band 10 to 2.
Especially when they have Ritual Spell engraved and they target, then you just chain
Yeah,
this.
if you chain this, it can't resolve.
Yeah, and most Drytron players only play one Ritual Spell. So
Yep.
you kind of cut off the
And then they've activated it, can't resolve. Or if they have like Drytrons on board and they activate Ritual and you chain this, the Ritual is going to resolve without effect unless they can resolve it in their hand. So it's just really good. It just causes them to neg a lot. They're really afraid of this card. Proskinion, you only play this for the mirror. Like, you're really hard to summon this. Despia and a light and a dark. But sometimes you can super poly into it, and that's just like, this card can attack so easily for game. It's 32, which is nice. And then when it battles a monster, it destroys it. You can inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher. So it comes up.
And then you get to steal a monster in their grave, right?
Yeah, you can steal extra deck monster or banish it. So both kind of come up. Card's broken. Just hard to summon. Double Chimera. Never came up that I needed to, but you want to have it in theory for like Eldritch decks. This is your main back row removal, and you plus off it so much by drawing. So you want to have two. There's some room, like some builds play Prosperity because it like you don't need a lot of these cards. Like they're just so good that summoning like one or two of them, you just gain so much advantage. You win. One Draco Stapelia. Obviously, like you hard make this with poly sometimes. Also, like super poly, this card's broken. Field Center, Ash Blossom, best Field Center. And yeah, that's it. Shout out to Tyler, he did phenomenal in this event. Almost so close to making the top cut. Sun Avalon deck, I slept on it. The deck's great, deck's phenomenal. Most people aren't playing they're not playing hand traps, they're playing board breaker cards, and decks that can just combo insane, like the Sun Avalon deck, the Punk Therion deck, the ABC deck. Those decks are popping off at the event. So maybe we'll see hand traps come back. You know, Joel's, Nib, Ash, Veiler, Imperms.
Maybe Ogre.
I don't know about Ogre. He was thinking about Ogre because Faithful is making a comeback. Like the Brave Engine's insane, so maybe Ogre. Brave Engine's everywhere. That engine is so nuts. Didn't get hit on the ban list. Not on the ban list for a while, so it's going to be really good for a long time. So yeah, shout out to Tyler. Shout out to HouseofCardsTCG, and be on the lookout for more videos on the way.